I remember it like it was yesterday.
That call that came in at 4 a.m.
Something like this couldn't have happened to someone we love so much.
The reality of it has never really set in.
My daughter, my beautiful 18-year-old daughter, she called me. It was a week before the holiday. I'd never heard her like this before. Her voice, it was shaky and hollow. And she said, "Dad, I've been raped." And I knew at that moment that none of our lives would ever be the same.
Word got around campus pretty quickly that something horrific had happened. Nobody could believe it. Nobody could understand it. We still don't. When I finally found out it was true, it fell apart. When she finally gave me the call, told me what had happened, I knew that this would be a long, long road to recovery.
My sister wanted to call and tell me herself. Her strength, even then, amazes me. I was coming home in 3 days for Christmas. I booked the next flight that I could.
We started dating 2 years after her assault. I was her first boyfriend since that awful night. When we finally talked about taking our relationship to the next level, she sat me down and explained to me in detail the events of that night. My stomach was in knots. In that moment, she showed courage like I've never seen before. There were some amazing things about our relationship and some challenges. Sex wasn't easy. We both got triggered in ways that were tough. It was hard to understand sometimes, but I loved her, and I knew that we could work through it together.
That night, that man could have taken my daughter's life. He could have robbed her of her soul. You know, as a father, as any parent, you want to prepare and protect your children for whatever's coming along. But there's no way you can prepare them for somebody doing something this horrific to them.
Honestly, I wanted to kill the man that did this to my sister. But I knew that would do nothing to bring her any semblance of inner peace or security. I knew I just had to be there for her, in any way that I could.
Her story has changed my life forever. I no longer take it for granted when I hear some of the comments other men make, or when I see things in the media, or any other way in which messages about gender and violence are conveyed. I've learned so much from her, but I would have rather learned it another way.
I make a point to spend the anniversary of her assault with her every year. We laugh, we cry, try and keep ourselves distracted. But it never works. Once she told me, every morning I wake up, that's the best part of my day. For just a few seconds, I'm not a rape survivor. Then reality sets in, my stomach drops, and it starts all over again. In reality, I know that she's done a lot of healing, but I'll never understand the pain that she goes through, the pain that she relives every single day. And I know she is gradually healing. All I can do is try and be there for her in whatever way I can, and make sure I take responsibility for myself and work with the people in my life to make the world a safer place.
You know what? I don't really consider myself to be Indian. I don't speak Hindi at home. I barely celebrate Diwali. I haven't even watched Devdas or Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Really, my only claims to Indianness are my birth certificate and my tolerance for spicy food. And that doesn't feel like sufficient grounds for waving around a chakra and telling the world I represent an Indian experience. Maybe someday I'll reckon with that. But for now, I'm fine just being a New Englander.
As a white man, I go through life like it's the lowest difficulty setting of a video game. That doesn't mean I'll never work hard, but what it does mean is that it wasn't my hard work that gave me the institutional advantages that gave me a head start in life.
I am a Cambodian American man. I'm the son of refugees who found displacement and are asylum in this country. Growing up my entire life, I was told in and out to speak English and go back to my country. But I was born here, and this is my home. So really, where should I go?
My past, recorded since the beginning of time. Kings in our history books, galleries and museums, award-winning movies and documentaries, and remnants of the gas chambers. My identity as an ethnic man encapsulates me with internal strife. Yet to still exist, to still have the city of gold, to still be a part of a community, is that not something to be proud of?
We need to wash away the line in the sand between patriarchy and racism. There is no hierarchy of oppression. As a black man, I know I come from a black woman, and I owe black women my life. But more importantly, we owe black women our respect.
Every Thanksgiving, my family prepares a finished turnip dish, lanti latigo, and we all yell its name in unison before anyone takes their first bite. But what does it mean that this is my only conscious celebration of the lands and cultures that my ancestors came from? My parents were the children of immigrants, but I am the child of white Americans. In 2017, I need to be asking myself, who does this country embrace, on what grounds, what is being lost, and why did I grow up thinking that race and culture were only important for people of color to think about?
Being Korean in America means being invisible. It means being Asian, another lost face because I supposedly look like all others in my race. And it hurts to be lumped in with other model minority ethnicities under this umbrella term Asian because my ancestors worked hard to maintain our cultural, political, and social independence from Chinese, Mongol, and Japanese imperialism. That term, model minority, I reject it because I am not proof that other people of color can be simultaneously oppressed while achieving as much as the majority. We should not be treated as anything less than full citizens. Don't use the success of my people in America to fuel the racism we all heard from.
Every year at Passover, I take great joy in the heat of the horseradish. That burn that cleans my sinuses and brings tears to my eyes. Tears to remind me of the tears of oppression and slavery, and that burning desire for freedom. And that lingering taste to remind me that the journey is not yet over.
A lot of life has been about the identity I was given as opposed to the one that I chose. When I was a kid, I didn't choose my identity. I was given my identity one day in 4th grade when I was getting off the school bus and kids told me that my uncle Osama had flown 2 planes from the Twin Towers or my dad was hiding bombs in our basement. I didn't challenge that. To me, it was easier to just go home alone as opposed to taking the bus, as opposed to telling my mom that people were making fun of me because it's something I had no control over. These days, the identity people give me is that of someone who supports a violent ideology unless I explicitly state otherwise at the behest of strangers. Funny enough, the one identity no one ever gave me is the one I am. Just another kid.
Hey baby, you wanna ride? I got a seat for you right here.
Yeah, but you gotta be able to drive stick. Yo, check that girl out. Slut!
Yo, dog, that's messed up.
Oh, come on. It's a compliment. She probably likes it.
What are you guys doing though? You're embarrassing yourselves and you're embarrassing me.
Embarrassing, man. What are you talking about? This is just normal.
It's not normal to be a jerk. Normal is what we make of it.
Oh, come on. No one's getting hurt or anything. We're just having fun.
What if that was your sister or your girlfriend that some random guy just screamed at? Besides, that's not fun. That's just harassment.
Please, look at what she was wearing. She's obviously single.
Are you serious right now? Look at what she's wearing. She's obviously single. Man, I cannot believe you just said that.
What are you doing, Bob? We're on the road.
Dude, look, no one deserves to have assumptions made about them, especially on things people just don't know. That girl did not need or ask for you to call her a slut.
Come on, lay off, man. Chill. What do you even know about her?
What does that even mean though? What do you even know about her? Because you don't know her, you feel entitled to objectify her? Think about that. That's messed up.
Whatever. That's just how we talk.
Do you really want to start this right now? Okay, I feel like you're unquestionably drawing upon the dominant discourses of heteronormative heterosexuality in the ways you speak about sexuality and male behavior.
Well, it's funny you mention that. Because I recently read an Alice Walker article detailing her understanding of the word slut to mean a woman who freely enjoys her own sexuality irregardless of what others think of her. Sexual desire originates within her and is directed by her. So perhaps, in that sense, Tim was being complimentary.
I mean, perhaps, but I feel like that's completely unrelated to screaming out of the window at somebody. My take on it is that it was more of an exertion of hegemony rather than any sort of attempt to be liberatory, or even to simultaneously accommodate and resist the subject positions offered by the dominant discourses of heterosexuality. If you want my blunt, honest opinion, he was just being a jerk, a plain old straight-up harassing jerk.
Okay, well, as enlightening as your conversation has been, can we get going? She's catching up and she's coming towards the car.
Dude, that's amazing. You were so excited to talk to her earlier. Here's your chance, man. How do you think that's gonna go?
Come on, be serious. You know what I'm talking about.
No, Tim, I don't know what you're talking about, man. You say that you don't want to talk to her, so all I can assume is you're trying to put her down.
Well, what do you want me to do? Yell out an apology to her?
Look, you're a creepy guy and that's a creepy thing to do. Just don't do it. Don't harass women. It's not funny. It makes the rest of us guys look like jerks. So just don't do it. And put your seatbelt on!
A few months ago, I met this frosh, Michelle, at this house party. We chatted for a bit over drinks and we were dancing, and by the end of the night, she decided to give me her phone number. So the next weekend, my roommates and I decided to throw a party at our house and invite Michelle and her friends. My boys and I, they decided to take one for the team, and they would distract her friends while I tried to get some alone time with Michelle.
And you don't see a problem with that?
With what? Have my boys help me get Michelle all by myself? No, I don't actually. Anyhow, I let her get drunk, but I kept a steady pace just so that I wouldn't get obliterated.
So you use the most common date rape drug, alcohol?
What is your problem? It's just alcohol. That's what parties are for. Getting drunk and hooking up. Can I please finish my story? Before the party, I put a condom next to my bed just so that I'd be prepared for when Michelle and I came up. My boys are doing a good job feeding her friends jungle juice. You know those freshman girls, man, they're just so gullible. So I asked Michelle to my room. She seemed reluctant at first, but I told her it was just to chat, so she agreed.
You lied to her. Sounds pretty predatory.
Anyhow, we go upstairs and pretty soon we're making out. She told me she thought maybe she'd go check on her friend, so I just grabbed her arm and I told her her friends are fine, my boys are taking care of them. And that we should be up here to finish what we started. I convinced her to stay. Besides, she wanted it. She just didn't want to seem like a slut.
So let me get this straight.
You felt like it was your right to impose your will on her and then to justify that with victim blaming?
No, anyhow, we continued making out and one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we were having sex. Then suddenly, she stopped. She said she was uncomfortable and didn't want to keep going.
She has that right, you know.
Well, I was pissed. Why would you come to my house, drink my liquor, and come upstairs to my room if she didn't want to have sex with me? I told her that she had got me all worked up and that she was acting like a tease. And that she was going to give me blue balls if she didn't at least give me head. She knew exactly what we had come up here to do.
Dude, you verbally and emotionally abused her.
She tried to get me to feel bad by crying and saying that she didn't want to keep going. I pressured her into it, and I got what I wanted. When it was all over, she ran downstairs to her friends and said that I had taken advantage of her. You kidding me?
You planned it. You deliberately got her drunk. You separated her from her friends. You lied to her, and you coerced her into doing things she didn't want to do.
You made her feel guilty and ashamed, and then you blamed her for your violence.
Actually, what you did is rape.
The exact definitions of sexual assault vary from state to state, but generally sexual assault is defined as forced, manipulated, or coerced sexual activity. Rape is the penetration of another person by force and against the will of that person, by threat of bodily injury. Most often, rape or sexual assault is committed by someone who is an acquaintance or friend. Consent cannot be legally given if the person is impaired, intoxicated, drugged, underage, mentally challenged, unconscious, or asleep.
And when someone says no, or that they want to stop, you have to respect that, even if you had sex with them 20 times before.
I know this might be hard for you, but you have to accept that you raped her.
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 I hate playing that guy. We call this skit crossing the line, but while we don't want to minimize the impact rape has on victims and survivors, we want to take this time to speak to the importance of creating an environment that encourages consent. Calling out perpetrators is critical, and at the same time, we also need to challenge the culture on many college campuses and beyond that encourage attitudes and behaviors about ignoring the need for consent, and that allow predatory thinking to exist. Sexual assault or rape is not just an individual act of violence, and that's why we all must challenge ourselves to take responsibility, like these guys, to change how we talk about and engage in sex on campus.
I don't want to talk about it,
I have to talk about it.
but I have to talk about it.
But I wish I didn't have to talk about it. Because at any given time,
Pretty much all the time.
the color of my skin
The color of my skin
can evoke a response
can evoke a response
that can make me a target
that can give me access
of profiling,
to jobs,
of discrimination,
to schooling,
of murder.
to safety.
I may be seen as a pariah,
I will likely be seen as normal.
so I have to talk about it
So we have to talk about
to
it.
save our lives.
To save our souls.
Because Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
And we talk about this now,
Because when Black lives truly matter, we will have true racial justice.
and not just Black men's lives.
But for all groups who are currently and have historically been marginalized, this is a global issue,
A human issue.
a human rights issue.
Because women
And queer folks
and women and queer folks of color
and indigenous people fighting for clean water,
and people displaced by relentless wars all across the world,
any sort of disability or difference,
and people who live barely above the poverty line
and too many more people to name here,
are targeted by our systems.
are oppressed by our systems,
It starts at home,
in our homes,
in our places of worship,
in our schools,
in our media,
in our economic system,
in our government system,
in our legal system.
for example.
And this is just a small slice of the whole.
In and of itself, it's huge.
And did you know that in the United States today,
A country that only holds about 5% of the world's population,
that we have 25% of the world's imprisoned population?
1/4 of all the prisoners in the world.
And about 38% of those people are black.
Even though we're only about 13% of the US population.
1 in every 15 African American men are incarcerated.
As compared to about 1 in every 106 white men. Even though the crime rates are pretty much even.
Do you know that prisons are filled with more black men today?
Than were enslaved at any other point in US history.
Essentially creating a new form of slavery because the 13th Amendment
Allows for slavery or involuntary servitude to be a form of punishment.
thus creating what Michelle Alexander calls the new Jim Crow
And massive profits.
for white corporate executives.
Who invest in so many aspects of the prison industrial complex.
We still have slavery today.
We just call it something different.
You know, a white friend of mine and I were talking,
A friend of mine were talking.
and he asked me what we, white people, can do.
And he asked what we, black people, can do.
And I told him to listen.
I told him to speak. Speak our truth.
I said, listen to truth and then speak it to other white people.
And love yourself.
And love yourself and be willing to look at yourself.
And be self-reflective.
And talk about race and systems and white privilege every chance you get.
And practice self and community care.
And make chances, because it's not like a lot of white people are talking about this anyway.
It's not just about black and white.
Race is complicated.
Yet at any time,
Pretty much all the time.
the color of my skin
The color of our skin
can evoke a response
can evoke a response
that makes me a target
that can give me access
for profiling,
to jobs,
discrimination,
to schooling,
of murder.
to safety.
So we have to talk about it.
So we have to talk about
To
it
save our lives.
because Black lives matter.
Because our lives matter.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
It's on us to create a community that is safe and welcoming for everyone.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us to end sexual violence.
It's on us to make sure that if we engage with others sexually, that we do so in a way that fully respects them as well as ourselves.
It's on us to know that yes is the only yes. And to seek out enthusiastic consent.
And it's on us to challenge those who don't.
It's on us to call out the guy who targets the drunkest woman at a party or a bar.
And ask them to back off, to leave, to change.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
It's on us to be role models to younger men, older men, and our peers, to model that loving women means respecting women fully.
To be models to younger men, older men, and our peers. To model that loving men means to respect men fully.
To be role model to younger men, older men, and our peers. To model that loving anyone of any gender means loving and respecting them fully.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
It's on us to confront all that underlies rape,
Misogyny,
Entitlement,
hatred,
privilege,
objectification.
power.
and control.
It's on us to speak up and speak out.
Call it out.
Drown it out.
And wipe it out.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
It's on us to challenge rape jokes because there is nothing funny about rape.
It's on us to call out sexist, homophobic, and transphobic comments.
It's on us to call out racist stereotypes.
That frame black and brown men as being more violent than non-black or brown men.
And all women of color as being exotic and hypersexualized.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
It's on us to break the silence about boys who are sexually abused as well.
1 in 6 by age 18.
1 in 6.
It's on us.
It's on us to challenge victim blaming.
Look what she's wearing.
She was drunk.
Why did she go back with him?
Why'd she stay?
Why'd she go to his room?
What did she expect?
Call it out.
Drown it out.
Wipe it out.
It's on us to end sexual violence.
Call it out.
Drown it out.
Wipe it out.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on
All of us.
Most men started learning to be men when they were boys. I never had that luxury.
I miss those important years of instruction when the playground taught my peers to play with cars and trucks and never with dolls.
To play war with wooden guns, to throw sand in each other's faces, to pull the girls' hair but to fear their cooties.
To fart, and to burp, and to curse, and to scream, to sit in the back of the bus and talk about sex. Cocky but naive. To arm wrestle for their boyish honor.
To become distant and shun closeness. To hide their weaknesses. To never cry. Ever.
I, instead, sat in a different classroom, where I learned to be patient and to talk about dresses and shoes and makeup and boys.
To be emotional and not demanding. Be a princess or a fairy. To be dainty and polite.
To obsess over appearances. To dress myself up and beg the attention of the boys. To objectify myself for their benefit. To just marry a rich husband.
To gossip and never confront problems directly, because it wasn't ladylike.
Now I must play catch up. Not only learning how to be a man, but how not to be a woman.
Because the two must never overlap. Because being feminine means being female, means being flawed, means being weak.
See, men are strong, athletic, and sports is the most important thing in the world. Men are breadwinners. They succeed, they lead, they provide.
Men have no emotions, except aroused and angry.
Men are violent, aggressive, and confrontational. Above all, they're tight-fisted.
Men are heterosexual and hypersexual, and they are always dominant in their relationships.
Men must constantly prove their masculinity, lest they have their manhood, their very identities, revoked.
To be anything less is to be a woman.
There's no final exam I can cram for. I'm constantly being tested.
Tested when I'm talking to the guys. Tested when I'm challenged to a fist fight.
Tested when my friends want me to catcall a woman. Tested when I'm having sex. I'm anything besides proficient, dominant, experienced.
And I fail when I don't keep drinking, even though I know I've had enough.
And I fail when I can't lift more than 100 pounds.
And I fail when I don't know the latest football scores.
And I fail when I sit down in a stall to pee.
Because I'm not big enough.
Strong enough.
Hairy enough.
Cold enough.
Dominant enough.
Sexual enough.
Athletic enough.
Masculine enough.
I am not a man.
I am not a man.
I am not a man.
Am I not a man?
Am I not a man?
Am I not a man?
I am a man.
I am a man.
Boys will be boys, they say, under the assumption that boys will be men, and not that boys will be people first.
When society puts so much pressure on filling gender scripts, we lose ourselves in labels and norms and roles and structures.
Instead of being who we truly are, we get caught up in conformity to match up with some unachievable ideal.
Worse, we confuse manhood with masculinity, and we confuse masculinity with misogyny, and we make boys into shells of the people they could be.
We value violence and sexism and homophobia over healthy displays of emotion, meaningful relationships, caring about others.
Perhaps it's time that we rethink what we teach our children and unlearn our own lessons.
Dear Father.
Dear Dad.
Dear Paul, for years I thought about writing you this letter.
I finally got the courage to do it, Dad. I wish you were here so I could tell you in person. I guess this letter will have to do.
I don't know why I'm writing you right now. You know what? I do know why. It's because it's so hard to talk to you in person. I don't know how to be honest with you, Dad.
I took him to our favorite restaurant and asked him to be my partner forever. And he said yes. Dad, I was so nervous, but I've learned from you how to be courageous, even when it feels like the world has you backed into a corner.
I've looked at pictures, walked by our old house, and I still don't know why I'm writing you this letter. I haven't seen you since I was 2.
Last week, I got the biggest honor of my life. I was awarded A10 Player of the Year, but you missed it. I looked around that room a dozen times for you. I wondered what excuse you'll give me this time for missing something so important to me.
When I stop to think, I could barely remember anything. The only memory I have is waiting with excitement to visit you on weekends. But most of the time, you never showed up.
I've been thinking, Dad. I've been thinking about all the other times you haven't been around. It made me question how much this award even meant to me. Everyone was cheering, Dad, but it didn't mean as much without you there.
Dad, I'm writing you this note to tell you thanks. Thanks for accepting me and for loving me and teaching me how to be a strong and courageous man.
How could you use your infant son, me, to have sex with all those women?
As I stood there at the podium, all I could think about was how much work I put into our relationship. How hard I'm always trying when it comes to you. I'm always trying to prove that I'm worthy of being your son.
You left your mark, you know that? It took me a long time to figure out why I used to be so angry. It was because of you not being there. Not teaching me how to be a man of responsibility. A man who expresses his love.
After I asked him to marry me, he told me something you've always told me. He told me he was lucky to know me, and how being in his life has made him a better person. I remember crying when you first told me that, Dad. And when he told me, I couldn't help but start crying again.
When the award ceremony was over, I kept checking my phone to see if there was a message from you, just so I knew that you had remembered me. Nothing. All I wanted was for you to be proud of me.
How could you just pick up and leave? What gives you the right to just come and go as you please?
I've grown up my whole life trying to be an image of you. I'm writing to tell you now, I want to create my own image.
Dad, I really just wanted to say thanks. Thanks for loving me, for accepting me, and for always reminding me that no matter who I was or who I loved, or whatever problem I was having, you would always be there for me.
I needed a role model. I needed a father. How could you let my mother and other men take care of me, your child? How could you cheat on mom and destroy what could have been a family?
Dad, you taught me the most valuable lesson that anyone has ever taught me. To just be happy being myself. I love you, Dad.
When I was little, I would do anything to make you happy. But do you even know what makes me happy? I just want you to return the favor.
Somehow, I always knew the answer to these questions. It hasn't been easy figuring out how to be a man, but doing it on my own, doing it my way, without you.
Truthfully,
In closing,
Love you so much.
your son.
Whoa, dude! It's the middle of the day! Trying to rub one out before the big test tonight? Jeez, you could have like put a sock or something on the door?
I don't.
You know what? I actually hear it's a great form of stress management to be greasing the pipe.
True, but he is using internet porn for stress relief. And I hear that doing that can cause some issues. It's actually how porn addicts get started.
I'm actually not a porn addict.
Uh-huh.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey! Oh, here, Dean here is just holding his sausage hostage to internet porn, and we had to have a conversation about his porn addiction.
I'm not a porn addict.
Really? How often are you using internet porn to help you paint the flagpole here, huh?
You know what? It's probably not the amount. It's more about the increasing use or the need for sexually explicit material to get off or getting desensitized to some of the extreme forms.
You know, I'm actually curious about that one, because it's like different things turn on different people, and as Dean all knows all too well here, different strokes for different folks.
Whatever, dude.
No, for real, actually, while we're on that subject, you know some people get off on the craziest stuff?
Yeah? Like what?
Like on food. There are people who get off on food.
Hey Dean, do these toaster pastries get you all hot and bothered?
Shut up, dude.
Or do you need them toasted?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? No, you don't want to do that. You know, Dean's just been frosting the pastries at internet porn, and we're here talking about his porn addiction and, I guess you'd call them fetishes?
See, I have a problem with the word fetishes. I feel like it privileges some kind of sexual expression, kind of marginalizes others. I think as long as everyone's okay with what's going on, who cares? So what if Dean is sitting here choking the sheriff waiting for the posse to come? If it's not turning you on, it's okay.
Well, actually, I do kind of draw the line in some instances, such as violent porn, child porn, animals. That stuff's just messed up and wrong, you know?
Agreed.
Hey guys, what are you doing?
Hey.
Well, the Dean's helping put Mr. Clean's kids through college via internet porn, and we're having a typical conversation that male college students like to have about pornography. You know, limits of acceptability, what constitutes addiction, that sort of stuff.
Cool. So have you guys talked about the potential personal and relational problems associated with porn use?
What do you mean?
Let's get real. How many of us here had our first sexual experience with porn?
Mine was with my mom's fashion catalog.
Math class.
In any case, it's not uncommon that Dean is goosing his gherkin to pornography. But what do we really learn from this? We learn that our partners should always want to do what we want to do, and that when it's over, that they shouldn't be there.
Dude, that's intense, you know? That makes me think. It's like, when we're done, we just close the computer, or we close up the magazine, and, you know, and that's it. There's no interaction afterwards. So I can see how it can become a learned behavior pattern. So that when we have a real person right in front of us, it can feel kind of surreal.
Yeah, I read somewhere that like 90% of men have a experience with porn or using porn before the age of 15. So we're trying to like come quickly before our moms walk in the room. It teaches us to be really, really cautious, and it even promotes premature ejaculation.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, it's pretty unreal expectations.
Say more.
Like, you know, every woman is bisexual and wants to have a threesome, or every guy has a 12-inch penis and go at it for 45 minutes. I don't know, that basically everyone is ready for sex at all times?
Yeah, I can't remember actually having sex with a secretary or a teacher.
Or the pool guy or the pizza delivery guy.
Or with someone I just met 30 seconds ago.
You know, I actually heard there's no such thing as porn addiction.
Does that mean it's just a hobby for Dean?
Enough already.
Wait, what do you mean there's no such thing as porn addiction?
Well, I read this mega study that was looking at all these other little studies, and the author of that paper said that there's actually no connection between porn use and erectile dysfunction, or that there's any changes to the brains of users.
Huh. Dean's brain is just like the rest of ours. Never would have guessed.
There was also something in there about therapists drumming up interest in this sort of concept to create an industry of sorts.
Hey guys, what's happening?
Hey!
Why is your dad in my bedroom?
Dad, what are you doing here?
Well, you know, I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by and say hi. How y'all doing? Hey, good to see you guys. What's going on?
Well, Dad, as you must know, Dean here is buffing his banana to internet porn, and we're having a very highbrow, intellectual conversation about pornography, relationships, addiction, health, and, you know, that sort of stuff.
Glad to hear you use my tuition money well. And I also want to say, you know, we could be talking about you, Roy. You know, my Roy always did have a love affair with his penis. You know, he would just constantly flogging the dolphin in the bathtub. Love that soap, if you know what I mean.
We're not really having this conversation right now, are we?
Oh, Roy, it's perfectly natural. I mean, a lot of boys love a little 5-on-1. I'm not talking about basketball, you know. I mean, perfectly natural.
So I've heard. I actually came in here though because I'm kind of hungry. Can I have those toaster pastries you were talking about earlier? What?
To each his own, dude. To each his own.
Dude, we've got to talk.
I need to speak with you.
What's up?
It's about your relationship. And more specifically, it's about you.
You're one of my best friends. You know I care about you.
What are you talking about?
You're being abusive, and it's not okay with me.
Look, I know you're a good guy, but I've seen how you can be with her.
What do you mean how I can be with her?
What are you talking about? Actually, I don't care what you're talking about. What goes on in my relationship is none of your business anyhow.
Dude, yeah, it is. You're my friend and Mark is too. And I'm not going to stand by and condone what I see as violence.
Honestly, it means you can be kind of a jerk sometimes. It's like you think you can control Sheila. Like that time you grabbed her arm and questioned her about where she was the night before. It's not cool.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Actually, I do. I see how you talk, I see how you act, and I'm tired of being quiet about it.
You call Mark names, you put him down in front of other people.
I see this, and I worry about how you'll be in the future.
What do you mean how will be in the future?
I'm worried that you're really going to end up hurting Mark or somebody else.
And wind up in jail, like one of those guys that abuses their partner.
Wow. That hits home. That's the kind of stuff my dad did.
Hey, that's how I grew up. The man is supposed to be in charge.
Listen, man, I didn't know that. And if you want to, at some point I'd be totally open to talking with you about it. But right now, we have to talk about your behavior towards Mark.
Are you kidding me? That's simply not true. I don't believe that, and many men don't either.
What behavior? We got into a little bit of a fight. I pushed him, I made a mistake, I apologized. Sometimes I just lose control.
Seems to me like you actually take control.
Look, abuse isn't only physical anyhow. It can be emotional, financial, psychological. It's all about trying to control the other person.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Nah, man, this is serious. I'm not gonna let you blow me off.
You know me. You know who I am. You know I only want what's best for you.
So what do you want from me?
I want you to think about what you're doing.
You know, there are a lot of behaviors that are problematic. And the more you do those things, the more potential you'd have to be abusive further down the line. Let me ask you some questions.
Do you ever try to control who they see, how they act, or what they do?
Do you ever make angry or aggressive gestures towards them?
Do you ever verbally threaten them?
Have you ever punched a wall or destroyed their possessions?
Do you ever tell them that it's their fault that you act the way that you do?
I guess.
Yeah, sure. I've done some of those things.
Listen, man, I've learned in a class that people who witness abuse or have been abused have a higher probability of being abusive. But guess what? It's not even close to a done deal, and lots of people choose another way to be.
How do I do it differently? This is what I know.
It could take time to change and shake off all those previous learnings that we've received about power, love, sex, and abuse, especially for men. We get all kinds of mixed up messages.
Yeah, I don't want to be like my father.
And you don't have to be. There are resources online, on campus, and in the community. But bottom line is, you got friends like me.
Like me.
Who have your back, but will get in your face if need be.
You know what, Matt? If we didn't go so far back, I wouldn't be listening to you right now.
But I do know you care.
So I'm trying to take it all in.
Yo, what up, son?
What's up, homie?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, pal.
Check it, my brother.
What you want to do?
I want to drink beers.
Like a whole 30 rack?
Be responsible.
All right, true.
We could work out.
To get big.
To get healthy.
To look good naked.
We could watch sports.
Tons of sports.
Football all day Sunday.
And criticize the commercials
Because they're sexist. We could play video games.
I love video games.
We could see that new action movie.
With Bruce Willis.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Samuel Jackson. Die Hard 25, the final insult.
We could play music.
I love to jam.
We could go meet women.
And talk to them.
In a respectful way.
Not a creepy one.
And then what?
I want to talk to you.
Because I like to listen.
I want to see how you're feeling.
Because I like to express emotion.
And I want to be there to support you.
Because I care about you.
You do?
Of course.
Me too.
Let's vent together.
Because you know what it's like being a man.
And I can be comfortable crying in front of you.
And that's not whiny.
That's real.
Because you can make me feel better.
And I trust myself when I'm with you. And no, this is not a bromance.
I hate that term.
I hate that phrase.
It cheapens what we are.
Makes light of our friendship.
And I know what people say.
You're not my boyfriend.
I'm not being homophobic.
It's just insensitive.
You're my friend.
You're my best friend.
You're my best friend.
And I love you.
And I love you too.
And don't miss our next episode of Whose Consent Is It Anyway, where you see some do's and don'ts from the world of consent.
Dude, that's my shirt you're wearing.
Yeah?
You didn't even ask for it.
Well, you weren't wearing it, so I thought it'd be cool.
No, it's not.
Oh, bro, you really gotta wash this thing once in a while.
Rewind!
Dude, could I borrow a shirt?
Which one?
The one with the giraffes on it.
For how long?
Just for tomorrow. I'll wash it right when I'm done.
Sure. And don't worry about washing it. I don't.
And you'll see this classic don't from the world of ice cream.
Hey, they didn't have pistachio, so I got you almond crunch instead.
Thank you, man, but nah, I don't really like almond crunch.
What? You've eaten plenty of nut-related ice cream in the past. Pistachio, almond crunch, what's the big deal? Here, take it.
Wait, no, I just said I don't like almond crunch. Besides, what makes you feel like you have the right to just impose an ice cream on me?
Well, you said you wanted ice cream, so I got you some. They didn't have pistachio, so I got you almond crunch instead. What's the big deal? What was I supposed to do?
Ask me.
I just did. I just said, what was I supposed to do?
Wait, no, I meant ask me if I want anything different. And then if so, what? I mean, you easily could have texted me, man.
It's just ice cream.
Or is it? Perhaps if a Jay had communicated and sought content, he wouldn't be stuck with the wrong nuts, and Dean would be content with his scoop of cream. Now, of course, there are more intimate dealings of consent.
Are you trying to hold my hand?
Yeah, I was just kind of got the vibe that you wanted to hold hands earlier.
That would be nice. Maybe. But I would rather you ask me first. Don't assume you can touch someone without their permission.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I was just trying to be cool and suave, like in the movies. Just kind of, make a move. But I'm sorry, I just didn't want to spoil the mood.
You know what really spoils the mood? Touching someone without their permission. Especially when I smack you upside the back of their head.
Now, violence is never the answer. And of course, touching someone without the consent isn't either. Hey, guys, any interesting kissing and making out?
Hey, man, could you actually not say that? The two of us are just starting out. I really don't need that kind of pressure. I mean, if we want to move in that direction, then we will. But it'll be a conversation between us and without you involved. That was kind of more like it, right?
It's a start.